Hey, it's Bill Ferriter, and it's time for another 2-minute team tip. Listen, one of the questions that I'm asked almost everywhere I go nowadays is, how do you teach students grade level standards if they're already multiple grade levels behind before you even get them? Well, the answer to that question is interesting. When you've got students who are multiple grade levels behind and you want to teach them a grade level standard, you're going to have to scaffold your instruction. Now, I'll tell you, as a guy who taught for 29 years, that word scaffolding really gave me the cold sweats. And the reason was because I had students who had lots of different needs. So scaffolding, providing support before, during, and after the lesson that would allow students to access grade level content, felt kind of impossible just because of the range of needs that students brought with them to the classroom. Now, I wanted to show you an AI agent that I made that might be able to help you to scaffold better. I made this strictly because I know that I struggled with scaffolding. I'm assuming some of you do as well. Now, I want to explain to you what an AI agent is. I want you to think of it as a custom tutor that was built to walk you through a very specific process. In this case, it's a custom tutor that I built to walk you through the process of providing scaffolds for lessons. Now, when I build my custom AI agents, I use a tool called ChatGPT to do it. So in order to access my agent, you're going to have to access ChatGPT. You can use the free version, but you do need to be signed in. So if you don't have an account, you may want to create one, or you may want to work with a colleague who already has one. Now, how do you find my scaffolding agent? Well, I actually think the easiest way to do it is to navigate to the link that you see on your screen or to scan the QR code that you see on your screen right now. Go ahead and pause your video if you need a second in order to be able to pull that agent up. Now, once you sign in, you'll see simple directions. It says, you a K-12 teacher? You want to make some instructional scaffolds for a lesson? Start this assistant by clicking the button that says Let's Get Started. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to click the Let's Get Started button. Now, when you do, the agent that I made will start to walk you through the process that I think we should follow if we were trying to scaffold for instruction. And my agent starts off by giving you an overview of the steps we'll take. So all 4 steps that my agent will walk you through are listed right here. You and your team could read those steps to get an idea of what's going to come next. Now, you'll notice the very first activity or the very first step that my agent will take you through is a lesson scan. I want you to tell the agent the lesson that you're trying to teach, or better yet, upload the lesson that you're trying to teach, and the agent will tell you places within the lesson where scaffolding might be needed. Now, I'm going to model for you. I've got a lesson plan here that I pulled from a district that I work with regularly. It's an English 3 lesson. I'm going to go ahead and download the lesson. I'm going to just download it as a PDF in this particular case. Then I'm going to go back to my custom agent. And you'll notice that the agent is saying, here's why we scan your lesson. And then it's saying, could you go ahead and upload the lesson for me? Or could you at least describe the lesson that you're trying to teach? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and upload the lesson. All I'm doing is attaching it as a file. And then once that lesson's uploaded, I'm going to submit it to the agent. Now, what my agent is going to do next is it's going to read the lesson, and it's going to come back and tell me places where scaffolding might be necessary. And what I think is neat is it's telling me in the parts of the lesson, the individual sections of my lesson plan, here are some places where students might struggle. And then during the lesson, in these 2 sections of the lesson plan, here are some places where kids might need some scaffolding. And last but not least, after the lesson is over, here are some places where students might struggle. Do you see how useful that is? So it's analyzing my lesson plan, and it's telling me specifically places in the lesson where scaffolding might be necessary. By itself, that's worthwhile. Now, the agent will always provide you with some reflection questions. I want you to know that you're not answering those reflection questions in the agent, but instead you're answering those reflection questions with your collaborative team. So I imagine you sitting at a table with each other, reading what the agent has created and making some decisions with each other about whether or not you think that content's strong. The agent then says, when you're ready to move on, just type ready. So I'm going to do that. And the agent will move me to the second step of the process. Remember, this is the process that I would walk you through if I was helping you to create scaffolds. I want you to think of it instead of ChatGPT as Bill GPT. This is me sitting alongside of you, walking you step by step through a process of creating scaffolds. Now, the second section is really neat. What it's saying is, what are the categories of students that you have in your classroom? See, because different kids need scaffolds for different reasons. Some need reading support. Some need help with background knowledge. Some need language scaffolds. And some need cognitive scaffolds. So what Bill GPT, my tutor, is asking you here is, what are the types of needs that your students have? And it gives a model down here of the kind of thing that you should write. The more detail that you give the agent, the better the information it will give you in return. In this case, I'm going to say, I have a student who is new to the English language and struggles with academic vocabulary. When I type that in, the tutor, right, the agent is going to say, okay, based on your lesson and based on that individual student, here are some places where you might want to provide scaffolding. So before the lesson, you might want to pre-teach with visuals or gestures. And the reason that it works is it lowers that initial barrier. That way students can concentrate on meaning making rather than decoding. During my lesson, I might want to use some sentence frames in the group discussion activities. Why? Well, because students that are trying to generate sentences in English might not be able to participate in the discussion at the level that we want them to. So the sentence frame provides support in those sections. And after the lesson is over, I might want to have the kids make some concept maps. So what the agent has done is it said, here's the lesson you're trying to teach. Here's the students that you have in your classroom and the needs they have. Here are some suggested strategies you might want to try. Again, the step ends with reflection questions. You're not answering those in the agent. You're answering those with your collaborative team. And when you're ready to move forward, you type ready again. What the agent will do next is the agent will offer you some materials. So it will always start by saying, here's a strategy that I recommended to you that I think is valuable, and here's the materials you might need. So in this case, it's chosen to give me sentence frames for group discussion. And here are some of the sentence frames that it recommends. And it's giving me some simple directions for how to pull that off. Then if you notice, it's saying, okay, so I made some resources for you. Would you like some resources for a different one of the recommendations? And I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to say that I would love some, can you give me materials for visual concept maps? That was one of the things that it recommended as a scaffold. I think it's an interesting idea. I'm not sure how to pull it off. So let me see if the agent can tell me more about how I might use that. And that's exactly what it's doing. It's telling me why that scaffold's useful. And then it's giving me some activities or some strategies for how I might be able to use that during my instruction. So that's what I wanted you to see, right? I wanted you to see that scaffolding really is an expectation. You're gonna have to do it, but generating ideas for scaffolding doesn't have to be overwhelming, particularly if you're willing to use the agent that I made for you. Now, you could ask ChatGPT straight prompts and get all of that exact same information. The difference with the agent that I created is it walks you step by step through the process. You don't need to come up with the prompts on your own. Listen, I'm going to put a link to the agent in the session description or in the video description. I hope you guys will go and take advantage of it. If you'd like, share it wide and far. It's free. It's easy to use. I made it for you. So I hope that provides some value. And more importantly, I hope it helps you to scaffold instruction more frequently, because all students deserve to work at grade level or higher.